Paul Barry is a former ABC journalist who's writing a book on Rupert Murdoch and his succession plans. He joins us now from Sydney. Paul, good morning. Well, what does this mean for the likes of Rebekah Brooks and Andy Coulson?
Well, they're going to go to trial. I don't know when that's going to be, but it's likely to be sometime in the next year, I'd say. And Rebekah Brooks and Coulson are already on charges of perverting the course of justice for different events, different incidents. But they've got those charges to face as well. So they've got a difficult 12 months at least ahead, and if they get convicted, obviously there's a possibility they'll go to jail. There's a maximum 2-year jail sentence for these offences.
And it's fair to assume the charges wouldn't have been laid unless the police felt they had enough evidence to secure convictions.
Well, the police obviously think they can, but there's a lot of pressure on them to get a conviction because they made such a mess of the investigation first time round. The Crown Prosecution Service obviously also thinks they can get a conviction because otherwise they wouldn't be going ahead with charges. But again, there's probably a little bit of pressure on them. You know, it's going to be up to a jury to decide. I don't think we can say absolutely, you know, they've got the evidence, they're banged to rights, they're going to go to jail. A jury's going to have to decide whether the evidence is there. And one of the difficulties in this case has been that a lot of the original paper trail or electronic paper trail got destroyed. And one of the questions is how much of it have the police managed to reconstruct? The story is they've probably managed to reconstruct an awful lot of it, but we don't really know, frankly.
And there are worrying implications from this for David Cameron as well. Andy Coulson was, up until the start of last year, his chief spin doctor. Now that he's been charged twice on two different fronts, it does raise questions about David Cameron's choice of character, I suppose.
It certainly does. I mean, it's not the first time that those questions have been raised. There's been a lot of criticism for quite a long time about the fact that he hired him after Coulson had resigned from the News of the World, when Glenn Mulcair, the private investigator, and Clive Goodman, the royal correspondent, had been jailed for phone hacking on his watch. And there's questions about, you know, whether Cameron asked enough questions and should have hired this guy in the first place. But there's also a problem for Rupert Murdoch, I think. Rebekah Brooks was Rupert's favourite editor, very close to Rupert himself, almost a surrogate daughter, and very close to the family. It's very hard for him to say, look, I had no idea what this person was doing. She's not really very close to me. She's nothing really much to do with me. She was as close as they get. So if Rebekah Brooks goes down, that's going to be, I think, pretty embarrassing for Rupert Murdoch as well.